Hello, Cy here. Today I thought I'd do a quick tutorial on how to set up your charts if you're using this particular broker, and which is my particular broker is Futures Online. They used to be called OECtrader, or that's the name of the platform I'm using here. OEC used to stand for Open eCry, and they changed their name to Futures Online. But the name of the trading platform they use is still called OECtrader, and it's a particularly good trading platform. I know there are many you can use out there, such as TradeStation and NinjaTrader, eSignal, and all these platforms are good. But this particular one is good if you're a technical trader and you enjoy trading directly from the charts. If you're a futures trader, I know stock traders have all sorts of different types of electronic trade platforms that they use, but this one suits me well. And the nice thing about trading futures, and what I'm doing is trading the stock index futures, or I specialize in that. The nice thing about it is you don't have to trade very many contracts. Matter of fact, you can just trade one contract and set it up the way you like it. I know a lot of stock traders they're watching hundreds of different symbols and they have multiple screens. But with futures trading, the nice thing is that you can specialize in just setting up one contract, and you can make a nice living just trading a single contract. And the same technique, if you're a technical trader, the same techniques that will work on one time scale and one type of contract will work on others. And I particularly like the way the stock index futures move for my style of trading. But that's not to say that this particular techniques, the particular techniques that I use won't apply to all types of contracts. So basically, I'll just show you how to set up these types of charts. And when you if you've made it this far and have your chart set up, basically this is the default setting. They'll give you a series of candlesticks, candlestick chart. And what I like to do, because I like the old school open, high, low, close setting. I use both types of charts, but I basically learned how to trade using these open, high, low, close lines, which are very accurate because they show the more exact crossing points with my indicators, and I'll show what that means later on here. But basically, you can switch it over to the OECtrader chart, which is the I just call them bar charts or price bars, even though we're not trading price in the this particular stock index futures. We're trading points, but I just call them price bars generically. And so if you want to change it back and forth between candlesticks and bar charts, you can do that. And this is what I like to use. I prefer to use. Now, to change the thickness of the bars, you go in here and you can select them with the left click of the mouse, and then with a right click go into properties, and I can adjust the line thickness. I think I like the width, I think I have it about 3 up from the bottom of the menu here, and that'll adjust the width of the lines so they're comfortable for me to see, depending on your eyesight. On my particular chart, I like to have a little bit of a margin on the right side here. I don't like it right up against the scale, and so what I do is go in here under the view menu, and I'm looking for the right margin. There I go. So just click on that, and that'll give me a margin area to work with. I like having a little space here so I can visualize where it's going to move. And let's say if we want a little bit more distance between the bars, I can use that magnifying glass symbol right there and increase or decrease the zoom. I can also go here on the right side scale, if you see where my cursor is, and use the shift key and the center wheel on my mouse, and I can adjust just the height of the bars. I can also just scroll up and down and position it in the screen if I don't like where the auto scroll is positioning the charts. Sometimes when it's really volatile, these bars will get really active and it starts jumping around a lot when you're trying to enter an order. So you can come over here and just scroll on that so it's fixed, and you take it off the auto setting. To put it back on the auto setting, you can just double click on that and it'll adjust the chart again. Now I can also adjust the zoom levels just by placing the cursor off the scale, and again using the center wheel, so I can change the distance a little bit more refined on how far apart each bar is by using the center wheel of the mouse there. See where my cursor is not directly on the scale but to the left of the scale. Using the center wheel of the mouse, I can adjust the width. If I were to go on the scale, I can adjust the height of the bars. And to set it back on auto, I just double click on that scale. So now we're on the auto scroll setting. Now to set up the indicators, I'll go over here to where's my there's my indicator symbol right here. If you see where my mouse is, I've got the indicator symbol highlighted, and we just go to the drop down menu here, and I want to set up my moving average first. So we'll just go to the exponential moving average, which is the 8-period exponential moving average is great for use as a trend line. It'll generally contain the trends of the where the bars are moving. So we'll set that up. I like the default color of blue, so we'll just keep that. And under styles, I'll go to the line width here in this menu, and you just click on the width, and I think I like the third one up on that, third one from the bottom on that menu. So in style, I just use a regular line, but you can have different types of lines. I just like a solid line there. So I'm good with that. So we'll hit, oh well, wait a minute, we've got the by default we've got the window at the very bottom set to 14, and I'll just go ahead and change that to 8. I just manually type in 8 period right there, and that's customized the exponential moving average the way I want it here. So I'll hit OK, and then I'll put our 8 EMA line in there, and that's a very important indicator. To what it basically does is it shows you the trend. If the bars are on top of the line, it's an uptrend, and you can see they change trends by moving to the bottom of the line. So very temporarily right there went into a slight downtrend and then back into the uptrend at the crossover points. Which brings me to the next indicator, and we'll set up the channel indicator of the Bollinger Band. So under channels, before we were under moving averages, and that went to the exponential moving average. To set up the channel, the Bollinger Band, we'll just go to here, the Bollinger Band, and by default they've got it set up as a range. I like the line type Bollinger Bands, so we'll choose a line, and I change the color to I like this color of gray in this selection up here, or it's kind of a blue-gray color, but you can use anything that you like, and generally I like that color just to show the boundary lines of the Bollinger Band, the up and lower lines. So I'll hit OK, and so we've got the this will set the top and lower lines that color, and we'll set the width to about 3. And I think I might have it set to the second one. And so I'll just change the color on the middle line right here, to kind of like that hot pink color there. And I'll set the width third from the bottom, same as the ADMA line. And so I like the solid line style, so we'll just keep that. And by default they have it already set to 14, which works out perfectly for these charts. So and they have it standard deviation from the center line is 2, according to the formula that they're using for the Bollinger Bands, is 2 units of deviation. You can adjust that too, but 2 generally works out to contain the range. So I'll hit OK, and there we've got our basic setup. And this basic setup here really is all you need to have it set up to use my method, or my system of trading. But if we also want to set up other things, we can do that too, like let's say the stochastic charts. And so let me do that just now. Anyway, I'll just set up the basic stochastic chart. I can adjust those settings later, but that's how I would set that up if I wanted to do that. Also, I'll have to come back and do a better tutorial on how to set up the stochastics. For now, I'll just remove it. I don't want to waste time in this video trying to figure that out, but I've set mine up some time ago, so I'll have to go back and figure out how to customize it like I had it. But anyway, this is the basic chart setup that I'm using here. Volume is really easy if you want to add that. Just they give you a complete symbol just for volume. Okay, the type of contract that I'm doing a demonstration on is the micro NASDAQ. If you look up here in the left corner, that's a symbol for this contract. It's a micro NASDAQ, and this will be the month of expiration here, M20, year 2020, June 19th, around there is when it expires. And so we'll go in here to the properties and adjust the scale here. So right here under scale, you can see how they've got it set to auto. For this particular volatility here, I like to set it at a fixed scale of about 5 points apart. So we'll just set that setting to 5 points. Remember, this is under scale and the interval of the right axis. So we've got it set to 5 points, and that's the scale setting for the current volatility. So basically that's how to set up the fundamental settings on the chart there. And if I'm trading from a laptop or a single screen, a lot of times I'll set up the 5-minute chart alongside the 1-minute chart. And so what I want to do here is select new tab from the file menu here. See where it says new tab? So I'll just select that and hit NQ, and or I'm sorry, MNQ. NQ is the contract I'm really trading here, but I like to demonstrate on the MQ because of the volatility net. It's easier to trade the micro contracts. So that'll open up a new tab here, and you can see where I've already got the default set up here, so that's why it's got all the indicators already set up. And you see what I did there? I just positioned it. Let's do that again. So basically, when you set up a new tab, you'll get a different chart, and as you move it around, you'll get that little window or position area, and you can position your cursor over which side you want that chart to be embedded. So now you've got the two charts merged together, and with the 5-minute on the left side and the 1-minute on the right side. I like all these additional indicators on the 1-minute chart, on the 5-minute chart. I've got the stochastic chart and the 5-minute, the volume, 5-minute volume. And on the 1-minute side, where I'm actually entering the trade orders, when I have it in trade mode right here, I like it a little bit less cluttered. So on the 5-minute side, we'll just scroll out a little bit. I keep it kind of far as left as I can get it, because you don't need that much space for the 5-minute, because you're covering the same period here. It covers the entire period over here on the 1-minute chart. And I usually like to I'm finding candlestick charts work out well on the 5-minute chart. We'll go ahead and change the settings here on the grid units. I've got it set to 1 interval for 1 point, and so we'll change that to 5 points. Okay, so that's my basic chart setup. I still have to show how to set up the stochastic chart here. As you see it right here, where I've got the center line blue and the top line red, the bottom line green. But that's just a custom. If I expand it, you can see that a little bit better. Okay. Just for now it's scrolled out, so but basically the bottom the bottom line here is green, center line is blue, and I've got the bottom line set at 20%, and the top line set at 80, and I have to get into talking about how stochastics work a little bit better, but that's kind of a longer video than I intended, so for now I'll just leave that and maybe make a later video on that. But let's see if I can think of anything else I'm leaving out here, but basically that's how I've got my chart set up, and so now we're ready to trade. I just have to set up the bracket settings in the trade mode, but I've showed that on other videos. And trying to think if I've left anything out here. I think for now that's good for a new trader. If you want to trade using the method I'm teaching, this is how you want to set up your charts. If you're trading from one screen, which is very easy to do with futures, you don't need like 5 screens. You can do this all from a laptop, which I'm using right now, and just set up your multiple displays so you get the benefit of seeing the 5-minute chart at the same time you're looking at the 1-minute chart, and that'll give you the big picture overview. And generally how that works is I want to trade what I'm seeing on the 5-minute trend. I'll go over to the 5-minute chart and say, well, is it a green candle, meaning the current price is higher than the open for this particular bar, and is it trading upward through the 80 MA line? That tells me at a glance that, oh, I want to be a long trader. So then I look at what the 1-minute chart, and that's right about at this period of time. It was about, let's say, 8:45, and we can see that it's in an up move here through the 80 MA line on the 5-minute chart. So that tells me, okay, it's clear to I can be a long trader on the 1-minute chart if I've got the correct signals on the 1-minute chart. So that's basically how my scan is working, using the 5-minute chart combined with the 1-minute chart. I'm using this as the bigger picture. Anything I would trade on here, or how I would trade the 5-minute chart, I'm saying, okay, that's what I want to translate to what I'm seeing on the 1-minute chart. Where there's a conflict, for example, we have a crossover here, which would be a short trader on the 1-minute chart. On the 5-minute chart, we see we're still in the uptrend. We're just trading a retracement, and those are okay to take, but generally you want to trade with the 5-minute trend. And so a more conservative trade on the 1-minute chart might say, well, I don't think there's enough room between for retracement trade to the 5-minute EMA line, so you can make that judgment, but you have a greater awareness of what mode the current price swings are in by looking at the bigger picture 5-minute chart. And so that's a little bit more advanced thinking, but requires a lot more explanation. But that's just a general overview on how I'm using the 5-minute chart combined with the 1-minute chart, and that's basically how I have the setup there. So see if you can set up your charts like this, and we'll go from there.